All right, welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something, well, it seems pretty small on the surface, but it actually digs into some pretty big questions.
Oh,
Yeah, we're talking about an interaction in the world of cricket. A bit of banter, really, but it kind of blew up and got people talking about how we communicate, especially
that's
across cultures.
fascinating. Who are the players involved here?
So we're zeroing in on a moment between former Australian spinner Brad Hogg
Okay.
and a couple of Pakistani cricketers,
Mm.
Mohammad Rizwan
All right.
and Amir Jamal. And, it all started with a joke, but it shows just how easily things can get misinterpreted and how important it is to be sensitive to different ways people see humor.
That sounds like a really interesting case study, especially in a global sport like cricket.
Right. Okay, so first, a little background for those who might not know these guys.
Yeah.
Brad Hogg, Aussie cricketer, spin bowler, played for a long time. Now you mostly see him doing commentary.
Right. Bit of a character, the sounds of it.
Yeah, he's known for being pretty jovial. Okay.
And then there's Mohammad Rizwan,
Okay.
currently a star player for Pakistan,
Mm-hmm.
top wicketkeeper batsman, and really admired for his just incredible fighting spirit on the field.
Yeah. Seems like a tough competitor.
Absolutely. And these two, they've crossed paths before, in the cricket world, so there's probably some existing relationship there.
Right, so they're not complete strangers, which adds another layer to this.
Exactly. Okay, so the thing that really kicked off this whole deep dive was a video that Hogg made. And in it, he's kind of playfully imitating Rizwan's English.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, specifically, he's saying this phrase, ya to win high, ya learn high, which Rizwan has actually said before.
So it's kind of like an inside joke or a catchphrase?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Hogg was just going for a lighthearted bit, maybe something for the fans to have a chuckle at.
Makes sense.
But then things took a bit of a turn.
Oh, what happened? So, Rizwan, he actually responded to this video, and from what we've gathered, he was incredibly chill about it, like super calm, even humorous. He basically explained that English is his third language.
Ah, so not his native tongue.
Right, after Urdu and Pashto. And he was basically like, look, I'm still learning. But his attitude was so great about it. He apparently even said something like, if my words make someone laugh, then that's good. At least people are happy.
Wow.
Right. He just took it in stride, turned it into a positive.
You didn't let it faze him.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But that's not where the story ends.
Okay, so where does it go from there?
So another Pakistani cricketer, Amir Jamal,
Okay.
he weighs in on this whole thing. And his reaction is very different from Rizwan's. He basically calls out Hogg's joke as shameful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he brings up this idea of etiquette, or temains,
Mhm.
suggesting Hogg was being disrespectful.
That definitely escalates things beyond just a bit of fun.
For sure. And you can see how, even though Hogg might have intended it as a lighthearted thing, the impact was very different for some people.
Right, so intent versus impact.
Exactly. So Hogg's attempt at humor, it's kind of landed him in hot water.
Makes sense.
And our sources tell us he actually changes his tone a bit after this.
Really?
Yeah. He makes a point of saying, that he wasn't trying to insult Rizwan at all. And he actually refers to Rizwan as a brother.
Oh.
Yeah. And he even praises Rizwan's skills as a batsman and wicketkeeper.
So it sounds like he's trying to smooth things over a bit.
Definitely. He's realizing maybe his joke wasn't received the way he intended.
Happens all the time, unfortunately.
Right. But it doesn't stop there. Amir
Uh-huh.
Jamal, he doesn't just leave it at that. According to what we've learned, he actually went up to Hogg.
No way.
Yeah, directly confronted him.
Wow.
And basically, he's expressing his displeasure. He's pointing out how hard Rizwan has worked to get where he is and how making light of his English skills is kind of disrespectful, it undermines his achievements.
So he's sticking up for his teammate, which is pretty admirable.
Totally. It's clear that Jamal felt this need to stand up for Rizwan. This wasn't just a war of words. It was about loyalty, about defending a friend.
So where does Rizwan fit back into all of this?
That's the really interesting part. So in the middle of all of this, Rizwan steps in and becomes like the peacemaker.
Wow.
Yeah. He calms Jamal down.
That's pretty impressive.
And he even repeats his ya to win high, ya learn high philosophy.
You've got to be kidding.
Yeah. And he basically says he's learned not to take Aussie jokes too seriously.
What a guide.
Right. He just diffused the whole situation. The guy who the joke was seemingly about is the one who brings everyone back down to earth.
What a way to handle that.
Right. Talk about maturity and emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And Hogg, well, he seems to go along with it all, lightheartedly.
Good.
He even kind of changes his tune and says Rizwan is number one.
So they end on a good note then.
Yeah. They shake hands, there's laughter, it seems like everything's cool again. And according to what we found, this whole thing actually made Rizwan even more popular with fans.
I can see why.
Right. But it's just fascinating to see how something that started as a joke could turn into this whole debate about cultural differences and respect.
It really shows how careful you have to be with humor, especially when you're dealing with different cultures.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about the power of language, right? And how even with good intentions, you can accidentally cause offense.
Yeah. It's all about being mindful of the impact your words can have.
So for all you listeners out there, think about it, right? What does this whole exchange tell us about humor across different cultures? How important is language when it comes to sportsmanship and respect? And how often do we see this clash between what someone means to say and how it's actually received? Have you ever seen something like this happen? It's a lot to unpack, for sure. And it's something we all need to be aware of as the world gets more and more connected.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that communication is complex, and we should always strive for understanding and sensitivity in our interactions.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We'll be right back after the break with some fan reactions.
See you soon.